But then, so what was the date? It was around the pandemic, right?
For what, when we actually became a business?
When I wrote the post on Facebook.
Yeah, so I think it was probably 2 to 2.5 months after we made them. We were like, let's just throw it out there and see what the response is. Nikki posted, it was pandemic, no one wanted to see each other, I wasn't being extra careful. There was a curbside pickup page on Facebook for Middletown Township with like 80,000 people on it. And Nikki was like, would anyone want like family, like small batch cinnamon buns? Like we're making them now. And the response was like immediate. And we were like,
Mike was freaking out.
Shit, we can't make this.
Yeah, I was like excited about it. I was excited about the response. There was like 20 or so people. And this was like, mind you, we made one batch of cinnamon buns for our family one time. And I'm telling Mike, I'm like, Mike, this is gonna blow up. We're gonna be famous. We're gonna be rich. This is crazy.
Dude, we all have the best time ever to start a small business.
If I'm not gonna be 100% in, I'm not gonna do it.
Come on, man, just be yourself.
Yeah,
and just show up as yourself.
If you don't realize what I'm really about, I'm about freedom, family, and my country. Nikki, Mike, cheers.
Cheers. My
Welcome to the Fireside America.
Thanks for having us.
I think we first connected like 4 months back. I think we originally had a date booked, and I think you had some LASIK surgery or something you had to go through.
Yeah.
So this has been in the works for a little while. For the guests that are going to watch it that are your fans, which you have like a cult-like following, I don't want that to be negative connotation. Like, it's awesome what you guys have both built. But this show is about turning around and helping young business owners, and your story and everything that you guys have been through, and then also talking to you tonight where you're looking to take this. You guys are perfect guests for the show, and I'm really pumped to have you on the Fireside. So thank you for coming. Cheers.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
So Mavs, top buns, not Maves?
Mavs, not Maves. You're confusing me now. What's her name?
Please no.
So Middletown guy, born and raised, Long Island, Smithtown. My wife's from Long Island, so I'm very familiar with it. The drives suck, right, Mike?
God, it's the worst drive.
It's the worst drive ever.
We haven't been back.
I'm like, how do people who have sales positions and they have to go places all day, like, how do they operate?
Her dad used to commute for what, 20 years?
2 hours both way, to the city.
LIRR.
And he also drove at one point because he doesn't like
Poor guy.
people.
The train. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot getting in and out of there, but
Yeah, it's a lot of
thankfully
work.
we don't have to do that
But
anymore.
you made it to Jersey.
Made it to Jersey and not planning on leaving anytime soon, so.
Every time the people finally come down, they're like, you know, this place ain't bad, you know? It's not like the Jersey Shore show presents it as. I'm like, I know.
Exactly.
It's not that bad. So, jumping into your story a little bit, to fast forward, obviously you guys, high school, college, did your thing. You guys meet at an advertising agency working in the pharma space.
Yep.
Talk about that story. And Mike, you gave us a brief version of it earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. So I joined my first pharmaceutical advertising agency. Nikki joined about a month later. Pharma space, no one's familiar with anything, so they have to give you a ton of classes to sort of get you up to speed. A lot of it's high science, a lot of it's process. So this one class, especially high science, the class is packed. I'm like the last one in the class. And at the end, they give you a quiz. Everyone failed the quiz. And at the end, I'm looking at the paper and I pull out a Good Burger quote and I'm looking at it and I go, I know some of these words. And one person laughed in the entire class, and it was Nikki from across the room. Couldn't see her. Had the best laugh I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, but you still make me laugh.
I always do.
You really do. And you're always like, I'm not funny, but like, I think you're hilarious. So
That's all that matters.
that's all that matters, right? Yeah.
One day she'll catch on.
I tricked her.
But she came up to me after the class and she introduced herself. She had wild, crazy, like scarlet red hair. And I forgot her name immediately because I'm terrible at names. So I go up to her desk like 20 minutes later.
You should have known that though.
What?
With the hair, you should have been like, this is too crazy for me, and I'm about to go on like a crazy wild ride because this woman is insane.
I took the risk. I took the risk. I went up to her desk like 20 minutes later and I was like, I don't think your name is in our company's instant messaging platform. How do you spell your last name? So I could look her up in the directory, my little smooth trick. And it worked. I got her name. We started talking. We were best friends for a long time. We did like 4 advertising agencies together over the span of 6 years-ish, and it's been a wild ride ever since.
And you guys have 2 children.
Maverick and Marley.
I was saying Maverick, obviously. Marley. Both great names.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
how old are your children?
4 and 2.
4 and 2.
Yeah.
So you guys are in the advertisement agency. Were you both in New York City or Jersey City, Hoboken?
So I was commuting
We
from
were-
Middletown. You were
Yeah,
commuting from Long Island, and then when we lived together, that was Long Island City. She was
Yeah.
living in Williamsburg at the time
in Brooklyn.
when we started dating. So
Yeah.
I stayed over Williamsburg a lot to make the commute easy as well. And then we moved in Long Island City.
It was a very quick relationship. Like his mom would be like, "Why are you not coming home anymore? Like, what's going on?" Like
We
he
were
was
best
always,
friends for so
we
long
were best friends,
before.
but he was like always with me. There was a time that we were
Enjoyed being together.
We did, but we would go our separate ways. We were in Penn Station, and I would go LIR, he would go NJ Transit, whatever. What's it called?
It was NJ Transit.
NJ Transit, whatever. And we would just go our separate ways. But there were times where we would like, fall asleep in Penn Station together and like get woken up by the cops because he'd be like, "Your last train's leaving. Like you guys gotta go." And so,
Love at first sight.
yeah, we literally were inseparable. But that's why I always say like what we have works because we've been working together for so long.
Yeah.
Like from the very beginning, we've learned the dynamic of working together.
It's not easy.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. But
Point out a nugget. I like to drop nuggets for people watching. What would you say your top 2 things are, and either one of you can answer, that make it work?
You go first, love.
for me, I would say definitely focusing on your relationship first and like putting work out of your mind when you're together. It's easier said than done when you own your business because when Mike and I go out to dinner, sometimes we're like talking shop as
Yeah.
it's a meeting. And then I'm like, wait, we need to just be us and be us as a couple. So definitely definitely put it aside when you can.
Not easy.
Not easy, no.
I would say our dynamic in general, our balance that we have. Nikki's very straightforward, blunt. She's a fire, and I'm very calm. And I think that give and take, there's not too much get up and go. There's not too much hold back. Let's see where we are. It's kind of like we help each other get to where we need to be. So we're a balanced team.
Right.
Yeah, and that's in any relationship, whether it be work, marriage, having those different personalities is huge.
That's hard though sometimes when I'm like ready to go and ready to do something and he's kind of like holding the reins back and I'm like
A little headbutting.
a little headbutting and because I just want to go, but then I'll sleep on it and be like, you know what, you were probably right to slow me down there. Probably right. You know?
And that's the great counterbalance. My wife does that for me. I'm the Spitfire. She's very calm, easygoing. Totally get it. But I wanted to drive home the point of you guys were both commuting when you had your first kid, right? So now you're working for this big company. You both were probably really busy commuting into the city. Advertising is a lot of work for people that don't know, especially pharma, right? A little boring.
Yeah. And when you're on launches, you're working 80 plus hours a week. It was to the point where I was having health issues at like 24, 25 years old.
Stressed out.
I was getting heart palpitations. I was seeing a cardiologist. I had like a monitor I had to wear, like a Holter monitor, because they were like, you're working so often and you're pumping caffeine into your system because you can't like go all the time. Plus the late nights with this guy, like staying up, going out, like it was just too much. So yeah, something had to change. Eventually we did work remote for advertising, but it was like
Still that hours. It's still the
they expect you to work
soul-sucking
later
job. Yeah.
sometimes when you're working remote. They expect you to work like, you're at home, you're in your bed, you can work 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Like, no.
So did you guys envision being a business owner at this point? Like,
No.
we're not to COVID or any of that yet.
Yeah.
Did you ever really envision being a business owner and being able to get away from that grind?
No.
He didn't, but
Yeah.
I did.
I always we bullshitted. We were like, maybe we can move to Hawaii and live our dream life and both just work remote and freelance and be wild and whatever we want to do. But that's kind of a hard thing to commit to.
But
Especially with
I've
kids,
always
family.
Yeah.
my personality has been that I don't like rules. I don't like people telling me what to do. I don't like being confined in a box, in a space. Like, I don't like working for, like, I don't like a boss being like, this is not good enough or this is not whatever. Like, I wanted to work for myself and
Do you
I
have
wanted
ODD?
to an extent. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
I think we benefited a lot because I was never career driven. So I fell into the career. I never fell in love with it. I didn't foresee myself being this high-end advertising mogul or anything like that. So I did the bare minimum pretty much every time. I would jump to get promotions as needed based on time, but I never really pushed myself because I never wanted to. So
Yeah, but he says that, but you had many times where you would have like once every quarter or once every 2 quarters, you'd have a mental breakdown and be like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is not me. Like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. Like,
the family relies on the career that I don't want.
The kids, like,
So
I can't do this.
This is what I wanted, though, and this is what the viewers need to watch, is there are so many people out there who watch this, and I know they watch either dreaming or they're a new business owner or they're the entrepreneur that wants to get to the entrepreneur world. Like, there are so many people in that type of position that are hating life, and by the time they're 30-something years old, they're just on autopilot because they need to show up, they think they need to pay their bills, and it's such a big hurdle for them to leap off that cliff and just give it a try. And you guys kind of backed into it, and we'll jump into that, but you guys were destined to do something different. So when did the whole Buns thing start? I know you were still working full time.
You could start that.
So I think we'll start Christmas 2019. We wanted to do something special for our son's first Christmas. Nikki's grandma has a bunch of like awesome recipes. Like Nikki does like rainbow cookies every single year that we've incorporated that into our business. She does cheesecake. And she also had this cinnamon bun recipe that we tried, and we made them for her parents. And her parents were like, these are the best cinnamon buns like ever. Like, you need to sell these. And we're like, we don't know. we're not bakers.
This is the first time we ever made it.
Yeah.
First time, it was like a lost recipe that I just found in the back of my grandma's recipe book. And we made it, and my mom, being the saleswoman she is, she's like super like, you have to sell them, you have to sell them. And we were like, yeah. Especially since I don't want to give my mom the satisfaction of knowing that like that like I agree with her, like whatever.
This was all mom's business.
This is all
idea.
I know. She'll take credit for it at any day of the week.
Hey, it's better to have people like that in your life that are supportive versus pulling you back.
Very
Don't
true.
do it.
Very true. And we've had many of those too. But then, so what was the date? It was around the pandemic, right?
For what, when we actually became a business?
When I wrote the post on Facebook.
Yeah, so I think it was probably 2 to 2.5 months after we made them. We were like, let's just throw it out there and see what the response is. Nikki posted, it was pandemic, no one wanted to see each other, I wasn't being extra careful. There was a curbside pickup page on Facebook for Middletown Township with like 80,000 people on it. And Nikki was like, would anyone want like family, like small batch cinnamon buns? Like we're making them now. And the response was like immediate. And we were like,
Mike was freaking out.
Shit, we can't make this.
Yeah, I was like excited
keep up.
about it. I was excited about the response. There was like 20 or so people. And this was like, mind you, we made one batch of cinnamon buns for our family one time. And I'm telling Mike, I'm like, Mike, this is gonna blow up. We're gonna be famous. We're gonna be rich. This is crazy.
You're going full all in, full throttle, and he's going to the
Holy
back
shit, I need to
operation
make
side.
this.
How do we make this?
He goes, holy
actually
shit,
work?
I've only rolled out
I need
one
to
batch
make
of buns.
a lot of buns out of nowhere, and I am not prepared.
Yeah. So I was like, don't worry about it. I have faith in you. You could do it. And I'm like, you could do it. It's great. We'll do it together. And so that's where it started. And we were basically doing this. It was a joke that it was like a drug deal, like a bun drop drug deal, where we would be in the Whole Foods parking lot. Out of the back of our trunk, we would open the trunk and people would come and they'd line up. And as it got bigger, there was like bigger lines. The guys from the gas station would come over and be like, what the hell is going on here? What are you selling? What are you guys doing?
Oh my God, my mom made the first sign for Mav's Top Buns.
It was made of paper.
Literally just a giant white piece of paper with thin red horror film marker written Mav's Top Buns that I just taped on the side of my black car. And we just rolled up and we're like, well, there are the buns. They're in the back. Come on over. And it's been a wild ride ever since.
But that just goes to show you that as much as a lot of us, especially coming from the advertising world, put all this money, time, energy into aesthetics and marketing things perfectly, sometimes if you are just right place, right time with a great product, you have the ability to scale and blow up real quick.
Yeah.
Social media gives you the opportunity to be whoever you want to be, and if you're real, you never know when it's going to catch fire.
That Facebook group was huge though, because there were so many local people that would write reviews.
And they want to support.
Yeah, and they want our support, and they would write it, and they'd be like, you have to get these. And so we were like, guess this is what we're doing. So we got a kitchen, and we were bringing Maverick and in his little tower with his breakfast, and Mike was like doing the buns, and I was kind of helping him, but I also was with Maverick. And
were you still working full time?
We were still working. This was the weekends, so we
Yeah.
were working full time. People were asking, "Is this like whatever?" And we were like, "No, it's not. We're literally working Monday through Friday," and it almost gave us more confidence that way, because we eased into it. Whereas like I was like, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna write what I want on social media. I'm gonna say what I want on social media. And it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, I could always fall back on my 9 to 5. I could always fall back on what I'm doing. But it got so big to the point where we were like, we kind of need to make this jump. Like
We either jump or this dies. It got
the
too
demand
big
is
for us.
so big that even though they say that on Shark Tank all the time, like you guys, this is a beast that you're not taking care of right now, and that's what was happening.
So like, let's just say, from your first order to your 5th, how many buns were you selling?
So the first time we started with like 15 trays, which is 8 cinnamon buns per tray, per whatever weekend we decided to do a drop. It was like once a month, once every 2 weeks we started. It consistently grew. We got like a random Google sheet for people to start filling out, and we had to like, it got so big we had to start shutting it off to like, so people would stop placing orders. And it got to the point once where Nikki had like a call, some remote call, I can't remember
I was
what it
literally on
for.
the phone with my therapist.
On the phone. and I was like, she's like, I'm going on this call, tell me like how it's going, and it's gonna go live like during the call. And I burst into the room 2 minutes into her call being like, babe, shut it off. Shut it down.
Like, shut the
We're
phone.
here. It's over. I can't do this. It's too much. It was wild. And so it's just, it started, the first round was too much for me right off the get-go. The 5th round was too much for me.
It's still too much for you.
It's still too much for me.
How many buns
Maybe
do we
keep
make
going.
in a day?
Like when we do a drop, we do like 900, 1,000 buns.
That's crazy.
In one day, and this is this guy. Rolling it out, we have one employee who helped us.
So I'm gonna go backwards real quick. The power of social media. You know, that's why we're here today. Somehow, some way, I don't know how we got connected, but we got connected through the podcast.
yeah.
And now we're sitting in my backyard.
Yeah.
Social media, I don't care if you're an established restaurant, plumbing business, crane business, whatever industry you're in, you should be on social media because the next generation is only operating that way.
Yep.
As well as, you know, there's a lot of the older generation that have now gone on there because they want to see their grandkids, they want to see their kids, and it's an easy way to follow the news as well. Obviously, I've built a digital infrastructure around Fireside. You guys have obviously figured different ways to, I'm sure, collect data. I'm sure you have a newsletter and everything else from social media. But it was one post that you made in one private group in Middletown that really blew you up and got your start. So everybody sometimes that's getting on there and they're doing a social media thing and they're like, I'm not getting any business. Like, just keep showing up because you never know that one post that goes 6 million views viral.
Yeah. It's like also the keeping the tight lip about what you're doing too, in some ways, right? Not telling people certain things, but then also telling them everything at the same time.
Yeah, and then it gets a surprise for them.
100%, yeah. So for us, like for instance, when we were working full time and just doing the buns on the weekends, you know, we made it a very coy operation. So I was saying like, I'm gonna take this many orders, but nobody's gonna know how many orders I'm taking. So people would start to be like, holy crap, how do I get these? Like they were the most exclusive things. And we were like only making maybe 20 boxes a weekend, 15 boxes a weekend, 30 boxes, but it started to build so much that now I'm like booking weeks out, months out, like because that's all we could do at the time. We didn't have the equipment. Then all of a sudden, the biggest thing that I didn't even mention was that we got into Smorgasburg in Jersey City, which is like the biggest food festival. And the reason we got into that is because they opened it up to all the vendors, and this was like a New Jersey City thing. And I was like, Mike, we need to get in this. This is going to be the biggest thing ever, because I lived in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. It was huge there, and I knew it was coming. So I said to Mike, I'm like, we just have to do it. So I brought, the baby was strapped to me. Maverick was with us. We didn't leave, we couldn't leave our kids. So we brought a box of cinnamon buns to them. No utensils, no napkins, no nothing. We're like, here you go. And like, it was a food test. They had to taste everything before, to let you in. So they tasted it and they were like, okay, like they don't tell you anything. And we just went home. We were like, I guess that worked. I guess, whatever. And they're like, well, can you make 1,000 cinnamon buns? And we were like, yup. And
then you had to figure that out.
We can't.
And I was like, yep, we can do it, Mike, we can do it. So yeah, that was chaotic. And like we ended up just completely screwing that whole festival. It was horrible. It went terribly.
That festival was rough.
I lost half my icing the night before. We were working till 2 a.m. and we were like, fuck it, we can't do this. We can't do this festival. Like we worked so hard to do this, but we were just in over our heads. Mm-hmm. The morning of, we were like, let's just go and try and sell as much as we possibly can. We went to the festival. and people were waiting online. They were like, people have been waiting for you and asking about you because you were promoting so much. Like, it was almost like I was so good at like promoting, but it was like a terrible idea.
Yeah, because then you're like, how can I fulfill this?
Yeah.
Because operations goes up, they've got to match sales, right?
But even now, like, I mean, even after that chaotic thing, we still pulled it out. Like, I was nursing Marley in between, like, running back and forth. It was like a 90-degree day randomly. And it ended up, we sold a lot and we learned a lot, but that's like the important part is that we learned. It was a huge mistake, but we came back from it. Now we're in another festival this weekend and we know everything that we have to do. We know all the details.
Well, you fail forward. That's all business. It's just, it's inaction that will keep you where you are.
Yeah.
No, it's taking action, like how I got connected with some of these people now I'm connected with. It was like, well, I hopped on a DM, I stroked somebody a check, and then I'm all of a sudden in these crazy rooms and people want to come on my podcast.
Yeah.
It's that action that you guys took. Just be careful, that's right next to you.
That's right, okay.
It's that action that you guys took, and although it was not perfect, you learned a shit ton. What is the event you're going to this weekend?
The Bougie Foodie Con.
And where's that?
That's out of Fort Monmouth.
Fort Monmouth.
So yeah, and the
People buy
Butcher's Block is
tickets?
going to be there. Yeah, the people buy tickets and it's like basically similar to like a smorgasbord. It's like a foodie event that you go and there's a bunch of tents set up and our tent is going to be there and we're going to be selling like all types of stuff: lobster buns, key lime pie buns, OG buns, which is our like original cinnamon that you had.
We're there Saturday only. So
Saturday only, yeah.
It's funny because it still works with what we've tried to do with our business. So we're very family focused, clearly, as you could tell. So we've gotten our business to the point where we sell 1 day a week. We make it work with our family schedule. We make sure we spend time with our kids and we make it work. And it's driven up demand because there's only one time you can get it. We do the drop. You could pick up for like 2 hours total the entire week, and that's it. If you don't show up, then you don't get buns. So it's all sort of just worked into that way.
So I jumped ahead, but bringing you back quickly.
Yeah.
So COVID happens. You guys are now at home. You're running this business. You have a little bit more time on your hands, and it keeps growing and growing. At one point, did you guys, and what conversation did you have between you guys to say, all right, let's take the full leap of faith and go into business ownership?
Well, we almost sold the business.
We almost got rid of it all.
We almost got rid of all, like, we can't obviously say too much about that, but we almost got rid of it multiple times because we were like, it's too big, it's too much, we can't do it. So.
Can you say a number that people were offering you?
It was low. We were part-time.
It was nothing
because
because we just didn't, we just wanted to get rid of it. It was too much. But that night that we laid in bed and we were like, what are we doing? This is insane. Like, we have so much demand and we have so many people who are like on board with this. Like, why the hell are we going to do this? And it's because, honestly, if we're honest with ourselves, we were afraid of the amount of work. We were afraid of how much it was going to take out of us and out of our family to do that, to make that leap to full time. It was going to be scary, but I wasn't afraid of that, of it being scary. I was afraid of it being like, holy shit, this is the most work we've ever done in our lives. We're used to coasting.
Yeah.
You know?
Small business ownership is very much you're beat up all day, and then you'll get quiet glimpses at night where you actually have clear train of thought, and you sort of think about what you actually have versus the overwhelming amount of stuff you have to do.
Yeah.
So instead of being like, wow, we can't even keep up with what we're doing day to day, we would lay there in bed like before the night we were supposed to sell a business. We were like, but look what we have. Look at what we're building. Like, we can take this so much farther because you get clear insight when you move away from the noise for a little bit.
You make room. Your capacity is only so much. You know, during the day, you get running around with the kids. You're working. You guys are working
because
2 jobs.
you know, like with the kids, it's like, it's almost so much in your brain that like it just wants to explode.
Yeah.
I have the kids in my mind. I have all the appointments I have to make for them. Plus, I have the fact that I need to grow this business.
I need to make
social
a post.
media.
I need to write. I need to do a video.
And if I'm not feeling it for a day, I'm still doing it because I know that that's like the business. That's what my job. That's my job.
She answers every single customer that reaches out to her on social media through Instagram. We get hundreds, and she's still answering them.
Yeah.
Even if it's the same question over and over again sometimes.
And that's how we started, and that's why I'll never forget is like the support that we've had from, we call them the bun cult, but it's like these people that it's almost like they're my friends. They are my friends.
Built a virtual relationship.
Yeah, it really has become that. So.
But over time, a lot of your fans, and I hope they watch this, like, they have to understand you got to delegate and elevate.
Yeah.
And at some point, like, for example, for me, I keep saying, when am I going to hand that over? Because again, Ryan's tonality, Ryan's quick wit,
Yeah.
or I'm hammering you on something because you need to hear the truth of like that stuff that people expect in the DMs as a return for me. Like, how does someone else replicate that, right? So it's a little bit of a control factor from my end.
Oh, it's tough.
But as I continue to scale and I buy into these other businesses and my coaching group grows and my finance business grows, it's impossible if I want to show up as a husband, a father, a good friend, and good at all of my other roles for me to do everything in my business. So at some point, I'm sure your customers will love you and they'll understand that you
Yeah.
can't answer. I mean, you have how many followers on Instagram now?
It's like 21 something.
And they're real followers. You know, there's a lot of people on Instagram. This is the other thing, real quick. For those of you who have a business and you're trying to use social media, you don't need 20,000. You can make money with 2,500 if they're the right 2,500.
That's
a lot
so
of people
true.
Will pay, I have people hit me up every day. Yo, you have these big names on your show, and we should at least get you to 20, 50,000 because you could buy your followers, as everybody knows. You guys have 100% engagement. That's crazy impressive.
That's what happened because I was growing it slowly, and then it really started. There was a sweet spot of Instagram. There was a sweet spot in the years that we were building it during like COVID, where we were getting.
You weren't throttled as much ever.
We weren't. We were getting like 15,000 likes. We were getting like 20,000 likes
Every
per post,
post.
every single post. And literally, I was shooting on an iPhone 8, or
Yeah.
iPhone whatever, 4. I don't even know what it was at the time. It was a shit
It's
iPhone.
garbage.
But we were getting so much engagement, and that's really what started to build us. But the 6 million viewed video, which I was talking to you about, is like, it was a risk that we took because it had, fucking it multiple times. And it was really showing who I am as a person, because it was like, you might have haters, but give them a fucking show. That's the fucking vibe. Like, being so real about it. And there are people commenting like, cinnamon rolls has haters. Like,
Yeah.
because it's like.
But people, like, they make comedy out of it.
Yeah.
There's others that understand the position you're in.
Yeah.
And then there's your haters that are also talking, all PR is good PR.
Yeah.
We've got some haters. I'll tell you
That's
that.
the one thing that I hate about some small business owners. Like, they say to you, like, oh, who cares? Oh, who cares about this? Oh, who cares, like, if people are copying you? Oh, who cares if they're taking... And to me, like, as a writer, if somebody took what I said word for word and posted that on the internet or published it, that's fucking plagiarism.
Well, I have that. And I won't say who it is, but I literally have somebody, like, I'll put up something and, like, it will be almost verbatim what I say.
Mm-hmm.
They say imitation is supposed to be flattery. And I think there's a part of a Drake song. I listen to a lot of different music. And he says it's starting to annoy me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's social media. It's a copycat world. It happens in NFL, right? If the defense starts to work, now 28 other teams in the NFL are running
Yep.
that defense.
I always...
You should take it as a compliment, but I understand the
I know.
frustration.
I do. It gets frustrating because we spend so much time, like, working
But
through
you'll
it.
always be a step ahead of them because they don't have your creative brain, and that's what I always know. You could take some stuff from me now, but that's where I've become more close-lipped, even with people around me, of what I'm gonna do next.
Yep.
And that, like the writing I did today, like, no one can do that because they can't write from Ryan's perspective.
Right, exactly.
And they're not going to be able to write from Nikki's perspective. And they're not going to be able to bake and be a mad scientist like Mike does. So
True.
let them keep copying you,
Yeah, and there's this one quote that, like, I really resonate with me. Anytime I think about, like, the competition, like, copying us or everything, like, it's like, focus on your customer, not your competition. And I keep thinking, like, my customers are the most loyal freaking people out there. And that is what I focus on. And if they're not being loyal, whatever, that I'm focusing on, how can I make it better for them? How can I make it better for them, instead of thinking, like, how can I do it better than this person? How can I like, take them down because they're copying me? Like, no, I'm
So
not
I
gonna do
launched
that.
a coaching group called The Pit. I don't know if you guys are aware of it,
Mm-hmm.
but I saw all these other coaching groups out of there. I saw a lot of fraudulent people, and there's some great coaching groups out there too. But my main income is driven by my finance business. I don't need coaching. Coaching is the passion project.
Mm-hmm.
And when you flip it on, at times it's very frustrating to me, and I have vocalized it of like, why isn't more of my friends who are successful getting in? It's $127 a month. I don't need your money. It's more about the other things that you can bring to the table inside the group, right? But I just need to focus, and I always remind myself on a daily and weekly basis, focus on the people who are already paying in there.
Yeah.
Because the more you help them win, the more that's going to organically grow. And you guys know that too, but I get the frustrations because I'm the same way. I'm like, these motherfuckers, you know? But I want to go to a quick break.
Okay.
We'll hop back into the story. This has been great.
Taking a quick break in the podcast, I want to talk about the Pit 2.0. What is the Pit 2.0? It's made up of a huge network of people across all different industries that are solving problems, creating solutions, and also bringing together a lot of marketing and sales idea. If you want to get into a Pit group like this, it's very inexpensive, $147 a month. If you want to learn more about it, check out the links and the information below.
So jumping back in, you know, this is obviously extremely busy time in your life. 2 young kids, you're going to these types of events, you're pushing out thousands of buns a month. How do you guys line up your day as a family, husband and wife, and business owners?
Yeah, so basically, it's chaotic most of the time. So when we first started, we had zero routine, zero schedule. And in the morning, like we would just wake up and be like, oh, like we were a little overwhelmed because every day was a 9 to 5. Like that was your routine. So now you have to make your own routine and you're like, what do I do? So, so our routine is basically like Monday, Tuesday. I do icing at certain, like we go for breakfast, right, in the mornings on Monday.
Where'd you go?
We usually go to Cardinal down in Asbury. Or we go to Toast. Like we've gone to Toast. Yeah,
She's
the best. We go to the diner every now and then. It's like kids' choice. And then we come home. I usually make icing Monday, Tuesday time. Mike does dough on Wednesdays, rolls out Thursday, Friday, bakes Friday night. So Mike's Friday is insane because he's rolling out, and then at night he goes to bake at the bakery. He's there until 1 or 2 a.m.
So what time do you start?
Start what? Baking?
Baking, yeah.
It varies. Sometimes, but we work out of another kitchen right now, so our schedule is largely dependent on someone else. So I'll go in there at 8 or 9 o'clock, depending on how much I have going on. The team will roll up with me. I have to wait for the bakery to close down so I can go in.
How many people are on your team that come help you with that process?
We have 10 part-time people, but it's very part-time. It's extremely.
Wow.
But mind you, these women are it's mostly moms, mostly people, and like they're coming and devoting their Friday night to us, to like coming. And I mean, granted, like they're employees, but still it's wild how even like our oldest, long-standing employee, Michelle, like she's been with us for 3 years. And she's like, yep, Friday night I'm in. Saturday morning, you want me to come to the drop? I'm in. Like, I'm here.
Well, they're all in on you and what you're about.
Yeah.
And your bun goal.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it's like, it's
true.
It's crazy to say, but like, that's why you have that level of commitment. It's a testament to actually who you guys both are.
Yeah.
Going back to the scheduling discussion, so we have built this business in a way that's very much aligned around what we want to do. So we've kept it exclusive. We only bake once a week, so we're able to focus what we have to do for the business on specific days, and we get it done. But the kids are with us the whole time. They're not going outwardly. No one's taking care of them but us. So we are the one, if she's doing icing, I'm watching the kids. If I'm doing rollouts, she's watching the kids. So there's always, we're always busy doing something or another. So the ability to keep it flexible, we don't have a hard calendar. We have days that we have to do things. We don't have times that we have to do things. So if we have an interview to do, if we have a discussion or a meeting about a potential space, we throw it on because it works and we've kept it flexible. We can work around that.
Maybe you do the interview in the morning, you have to do your work in the
Yeah.
afternoon.
Exactly.
I do the same.
Exactly.
Sometimes he panics though a little bit. Like you do like your routine. You like everything to be like exactly how you want it, exactly which day.
I was the scheduler for my entire life.
It's
I was an
true.
account person in pharma.
Me, I'm like,
so I
let's
have
go to the beach.
I literally was the one. I'm throwing on client meetings. I'm throwing on internal team meetings. I'm throwing on finance meetings. I'm throwing on my meetings. Like I've always been that guy. So I've had to try to carry it over a little bit. But now I don't have a digital meeting calendar to throw it on because we have like an onboard calendar on like our wall that I can write things on.
That's been really helpful to get like a whiteboard that I just write every single thing down, whether it's the kids' doctor's appointments or whatever. Like I was never a let's write everything down kind of person, but it's really helpful to see like, holy shit, we've got a big, it's a workflow, and like, even things for the following months, like all the collaborations we do, it's really helpful to have.
They have great little softwares for that too.
I know.
Like
I probably should be like more digital.
It's not even like it's not even crazy like complex. It's something that we actually recently started to implement more because it's just so helpful. Like we have different events going on, different client stuff. I now have 5 different businesses, so like there's different things going on everywhere.
You have to stay organized,
That's
even
why
when
the
you're not
whiteboard
that kind of person.
That's
like,
Mike. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not
I know I
either.
need to, but that's why I have people that help me do it.
Yeah.
That's why the whiteboard for us though, because we're a bakery. So outside of social media, everything's physical. So we're not on a computer, on an Outlook, like a typical corporate
I want a smart
job.
board. One day a smart board will
would
be
be
there.
great.
That would be nice.
But like we need to both be able to see something 24/7 because we don't have scheduled hours to go on a computer to check emails, to go on our calendar to see what meetings we have. If it's on the whiteboard, we're with the kids. What's on the whiteboard for today? There it is. That's the time we got to do it.
But you could also pull it up on your phone and have it right
That's
there.
true.
We can, we can, but we have to commit to pulling it up on our phone versus just, let's take a quick look
yeah, but
there.
your phone's always with you anyway.
It's true, but it's hard to take that next step.
So
for
I'm
me.
gonna bring this back on you and flip it on you a little bit to
Go for it.
challenge you slightly.
Go for it.
You guys are all about family. There's no doubt. So when I first got connected and you guys were talking about coming on, I checked you out. I'm like, their family. They're a lot like what I want to accomplish, right? And something I wrote out today in like my message and my core values is one of them being know what you want and then work backwards from there. You guys knew that you wanted family. Don't you want more family time? Don't you want to go to that Marley Beach in California more? Don't you want to surf more? Don't you want to be into your hobbies more? Be able to go to college and visit college with your kids? You got to automate, optimize everybody. And the more we're not doing it, we're just banging our heads against the concrete wall. And it's a little bit of like, we're already so busy and now we got to learn to implement this, which I get. But again, it's delegate, elevate, hire. And I think you would find more of that free time to really do what you guys like to do most, which is spend time with your kids.
I agree. If we did that, it would definitely help in some ways. It's more like, are we constantly going? Or do we take a step back and, whatever happens in the morning, and then we'll pick up work in the afternoon. It's kind of like, we could probably schedule it so that some days are like that, but it's hard to take that away when like every day we feel like we need it a little bit because yes, we're extremely family oriented. It gets overwhelming every single day.
yes.
Because that's how kids are, but that we love every second of it still. But
yeah, but
automating
I get what he's saying in a lot of ways because eventually there's a lot of times where we're burnt the fuck out. We need to like
Take a break.
Take a break. And like, because it's just me and him, pretty much, we have help on bake days, but because it's just mostly me and him, we're like, we need to take a week off. Like, we need to just take a week. But like, if we had those people who are delegating, we don't have to take that week off. We can like take the week off, but like, they're still working and our business is still running. That's the hard part, is delegating. It's hard to give up the power. Mike is like the wizard when it comes to cinnamon buns, but we have been training people. So once we get to that
Repeatable
step,
process that you lay out. This is what you do. You don't touch the pan with 4 fingers. You pick it up with love with 2. And you give it a kiss and you tell them you're going to cook good buns today. And then you're going to slap it down like this and you're going to do X, Y, and Z. That is a repeatable process that anybody could do. I know you're the wizard, but you just need to give me your wizard tricks. And then I can make the buns.
It's true.
So I just look at all small businesses and these, I like to just bring out nuggets. This isn't me telling you what to do, but I have discovered this in my business. If I want to go to this good shark private equity coach level, then I have to automate and optimize my entire business for all of the businesses. Patriot Payments, finance, the coaching group, the podcast, or I'm never going to actually get to what I want, which is more travel with my family. Me, I'm a mountain guy. My wife and I want to build a beautiful cabin of our dreams in Vermont or the Catskills. We go up every winter 4 or 5 times a year and rent like sick cabins. I want to be able to do that more and still know my business is running.
Yeah.
I think sometimes automation is tough in terms of you feel like you're not at the step to automate yet. It feels like we need to take the next step, a huge jump, and then we can automate. It's kind of hard to sort of make it work with where we currently are, and we feel like that's a tough hump to get over.
I promise you it's the best time to do it. You think scaling up more and getting more busy is going to be easy to implement automation and optimization? Dude, it will get worse.
That's very true.
It's like, these are all the things that I've pushed off for years. Again, not a coaching session. I just think as business owners, a lot of times we don't look at ourselves as big business. But we're no different. It's just more or less zeros. It's the same thing. I've always been into branding. Like, I've been rocking my boy Duroplex's hoodie just because everybody loves the salmon and they got jokes. And I started buying these flat brim hats because everybody's got jokes. Like, I want to keep people talking. But his Duroplex is out all the time. Fireside hoodies out all the time. You guys have your customized Nikes on right now that are like Buns, right? Like, we're still a brand. We're not Nike with the swoosh, right? But I have the Fireside logo. I have WCC logo. You guys have Mav Top Buns. So like we should be thinking and operating like big business all the time. We just have less zeros. Just the way I always perceived it.
No, I agree with you. I think that is very helpful. I always thought of us as a big business. Even when we were so small, I always thought of us as like, this is where Mav's Top Buns is going. And we just have a bunch of steps that we have to do to get to that point.
I see you as total big vision. Like really, like you could take this and, you know, and that's really what I want to jump into next is where do you see this like going? Like how do you keep the new content coming? How do you keep, you know, buns, right? There's only so many ways you can make buns. Like what is the next step for you guys?
So as far as the product goes, the flavor combinations are endless. It's like donut, you know, there are a million donut combinations, a million flavor combinations, but it's different for us because we're using the dough in different ways. Like explain that because that's like really important, like your babka.
Yeah, so the dough is a canvas, right? So it doesn't have to be a cinnamon bun. It could be whatever you want it to be. We have a very specific way we make brioche. So that's what is used in our dough, using our specific recipe. So that can be made into literally anything. I have a babka that we make that's a loaf that is like my personal favorite thing I make. I don't sell it. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of love, and it's hard to bake that in terms of timing wise to match a bun because it's in a loaf pan, it's heavier, it's a lot bigger. So for like the festival that we're doing next week, we're turning that into like sticks. So it's walkable. So it's like like an 8-inch babka stick that you can dip in icing, and it still has everything you want it to be. So you just need to manipulate it in different ways for us.
Which that's like the biggest thing for us, like when we come up with these flavors. That's what separates us from other bakeries. It's like we don't say, what would the customer want to eat? We go, what do we like to eat? And like, what do we eat in the summer? A lobster roll. Okay, what do we eat in the summer? Key lime pie. Like, what do we love? Like, there's nostalgic flavors that come with these buns that like, we're making them like elevated. We're making them cool again. It's not like grandma's cinnamon bun. It's like grandma's cinnamon bun if she had like tattoos and a nose ring. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so.
It's 2023.
It's 2023. So, and that's why with like the babka, okay, babka is really good, but like when you're walking around a festival, I'm not going to carry a piece of babka with me. I want it as a stick. So like that was how we came up with that too.
It's creative.
Yeah, so
in the future.
So beyond the 20 plus flavor combinations we still have and want to implement for buns, I have the same idea for every product that we do. And we are going to continue to grow our products, both buns and not. We do a brown butter toffee chocolate chip cookie, and I have a million ideas for how to implement those in different ways. The babka can be implemented in a ton of different ways. We have a lot of different things that you have, like your cheesecake recipe, I love every single year. We have a million things that we can go into.
Do you guys see this as like 5,000 square foot bakery retail front, or do you see this as like
no retail?
Like warehouse?
Yeah.
Like,
so something more like that. We always saw it that way, something without a face, something that you can't just like walk in and be like, I'll have one cinnamon bun and a coffee and I'm going to sit there for 5 hours. And like I said, our goal is always like optimizing time with our family, optimizing time as a business. And so like for me, I'm not going to pay somebody to sit there for 12 hours to keep the lights on, like for no reason. So I like the idea of it being a kind of a hub where we make a ton of freaking buns and then either they ship out, we do drops here, we do drops up north in North Jersey, we do drops by the beach, and then basically once we saturate New Jersey, now we have, Eat Clean Bro, like the way that they do, like with their, vans going out to all different places.
We've done shipping before.
So you're going to create a distribution center. I should connect you with Bennett, who owns Dirty Dough, which Keaton, the muscle from Diesel Brothers, also has a percentage in that company. But he built the distribution center before we started to sell the franchises.
Wow.
So they could distribute the cookies efficiently.
Yep, and you could do it anywhere. Like people were saying you could sell this to pizzerias. Like pizzerias now, they have the ability to bake because our buns are very unique and like they freeze well, whether they have the icing on them or whether they're like take and bakes, where there's like no icing, totally raw. You can freeze them and then now ship them out to like whatever pizzerias, other bakeries that want to sell us. And now
Coffee
you're like,
shops.
now you're everywhere. Yeah.
And now you're doing it on such a large scale. So that's really the
where it needs to
high-level
go.
vision. Yeah.
We've thought about like Cousin's Maine Lobster, how they have like a fleet of food trucks and they take them wherever they want to go and they can go anywhere in the US. It's cold up here. We don't have to be up here. We can go down south. We can go west. There's a million things we could do, honestly.
Well, that's-
Shipping is a huge thing that we really want to do. So.
Dirty Dough's other thing is you could buy a franchise as a food truck, which is obviously much more efficient, cost-wise than buying a whole store build out.
It's a lot more flexible.
Yeah, so you guys could, literally, it could be that big. I wouldn't even, sleep on it. Go sell that vision to a VC or a big investor and scale as fast as you can, because you guys both have the brains. Again, I'm not an expert. I just see it in you. I see your love for it.
Thank you.
You guys are all about family, and obviously you built this following that is staying with you. And if you built it this quick in this little hub of Ocean, Monmouth County, New Jersey, and again, I know you have this woman that flew in from Ohio and people who drive up from Virginia, don't get me wrong, but your main business is here. Imagine if other people start seeing what you're doing more. Look at the cookie concept.
Right.
Crumble, Dirty Dough, right? And those two actually, I think, are in a big lawsuit. But, stupid things like I don't want to say it's stupid, but Pliables, ice cream centers, these things, Yo Nuts, another one a friend of mine launched out in Utah. You guys could really, really I love what you guys are doing.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
I really do.
We see the future for it. And like I said, it's always scary to take the next step when you have no fucking clue what you're doing. But I like to think that we surround ourselves with good people that are going to give us a lot of advice.
I was going to say the right team.
So it's true.
You need to lean on people. You
Yeah.
really do. There's a lot of things that we just have zero idea about. Going from pharma to culinary, literally, we don't know anything. We didn't know anything. So we had to be told by thousands of different people in different outlets. And how do we grow? What is required? What can we not go without?
What licenses you need? What
Yeah.
and at the time when we were
Following food enforcement.
yeah, all that
code.
stuff. Even with Monmouth County when we did curbside, there were a lot of people in the comments that I was like, fuck these people that why are they trying to blow up our spot? Because they were like, you need this and you need that and you need this.
They're
and
you're not a real business.
You're not a real business.
You're not allowed to post in this page.
But
That's
in
the haters
hindsight,
and
they're the reason we
jealousy.
got to where we are.
but they are the reason, because I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know we needed all this. So now I went back and we were like, we need an LLC. We need to make this legit. So we did.
Yeah, guys, thanks for telling me what I need to do.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll send you a copy, a receipt.
Yeah.
So, what I like to do, rolling it to an end usually, is ask two questions. I like to try to be as consistent as I can be with this. Some podcasts, too many bourbons go in, or we're just all over the map. And I want you both to answer them. The first one is, if you could tell any person who was in that soul-sucking job, and it's so funny you said that, because I say that all the time, like you guys were, and not feeling you had real freedom to live the life that you desired. If you could tell them one thing to take that leap of faith sooner than maybe even you guys did, what would you tell them?
You go first.
Find what you do well, that you enjoy, and start small. Because everything starts from, you have to build what you want from wherever you begin, right? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, is the famous quote. If you don't begin, you'll never get to where you want to go. Even if you don't know where you're going, you need to start from somewhere. So begin, do what you do well, continuously improve, find people that you like that are real, and you never know where it's going to take you.
That's great advice, because I think with social media nowadays, it's also can be a curse, because you see other businesses start and all of a sudden they're a $50 million startup. That ain't a normal startup.
You only see the success.
Yeah. So that's actually a great one. I love that.
I would say for us in particular, and giving that advice to someone, I always say to build your brand first and find out your why before you find out your how. So for us, it was what do we want out of life? And we want to have freedom. And it's how do we get there? And it's we have this huge demand for cinnamon buns. So that's how we created what we created. And
And you're enjoying it.
and we're enjoying it.
Yeah. And you never know where, hey, you guys can have a distribution center crushing, and you guys are doing $100 million a year, and maybe you go off and you start surf camps or other things that you guys are really interested in. Finance was not my passion. It was just a lever that I could pull on and bring in money that then gave me the stepping stone to fund all of this. I wouldn't be able to do it without that first step. But those are both great ones. Second one, I know you guys are big on the collab game. We talked about Jersey Freeze. You guys may or may not have a collab going on soon. I don't know if I was allowed to say that.
Yeah, you're allowed.
But give us 2 business owners or 3 business owners each, or a bunch you want to rattle off that you guys do some collabs with, you deal with all the time, and you want to give some love to their business.
I'll let you go first this time.
Man, there's literally so many. So like Nicholas Creamery, we're always collabing with them, and they took a chance on us when we were nothing. We were doing 20 trays a weekend, and Jody in particular, like she ran their social media. Now she's partner with Nicholas on Nicholas Creameries, and she just like constantly was always pumping us up, always, you know, giving us other people to reach out to. So she's wonderful. Jamie for Me Clean Bro, always giving me advice. He's the man and the absolute best person to go to for someone who your small business trying to grow big. Like,
He loves to help. He's actually coming to the men's retreat. He's going to be running a station, cooking some food.
yeah, and he's also just like the kindest person and the most down to earth person, which I think is important. Like as you grow to like always remember like that not everybody is as like big as, you know.
Oh, and life will humble you quick. And,
Yeah.
You know, Jamie has gone through some tough times too. You know,
Yeah.
COVID and food costs and his build out, and you know, none of us are, you know, invincible.
Yep.
And Jamie always
definitely.
remembers, you know, where he came from. I love that about
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Sonia Sumner also,
gonna ask if you
Drew
wanted
and
to.
Sonia, who are our attorneys, like they have helped us so many times through just like navigating the world of like leasing and all this kind of stuff.
We don't
And
do this.
Genuinely
genius.
saved us. They genuinely saved us multiple times over.
they're just like genius people. Not saved us in
Not
terms
saved
of
us,
like
just given us such, like,
Sound advice.
yeah, it's hard to find
A lawyer.
legal that
Yeah.
you really, really trust, and they are
That you
genuinely some of
understand.
the best, nicest people that we've ever met.
Yeah, it's important to have that loyalty and trust.
Yeah, got to shout out Talercios.
Oh,
Steve,
yeah.
Eric, Talercio are the nicest people. They're a staple in Middletown, been around for my entire life.
I got to get up there for a
They're the
sandwich.
nicest
Yeah. I
people.
I see those
It's-
guys ripping. I know
They
Jamie's
do.
up there.
That's how they actually are.
Yeah.
Every fucking day they do this. That's just
He has
they're
so much
genuine.
energy. I'm like, how does this guy have so much energy? They're just like, they have a line out the door on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday. It's crazy.
I
They're
got
the-
to go up
they're
there
the
for a
best.
sub.
Yeah.
I really do.
fried raps.
I'm sure I'm missing
I
some,
always
but
hear about the fried ravioli.
They're the
I got to
best.
get that too.
yeah.
Anybody else you want to give love to?
Oh man.
Matt from the Baker's Grove.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
The Baker's Grove in Shrewsbury, they've been phenomenal. They're just, he's so nice. He's helped us immensely from a business standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably so many I'm
It's
missing.
endless.
But
Yeah. What's some other big future collabs you have going on? Oh, and actually, we didn't touch on this. I want to bring it back real quick before we shut it down. Is you guys were on Coach Cower's
Pre-game
segment
show.
on the
Yeah.
pregame show. He brings in small business owners from around the area for CBS. You're also brought in by the Jets. You guys are doing some type of collaboration. I think you're
For their
doing,
draft day.
and you're doing it again, something else, right?
Yeah. They were planning on it probably for the next game that they win is going to be our little treat. Our Buns as a treat.
We're using a celebration.
Yeah, and that the craziest thing was how we how we got that connection. We were up in Montclair, and I was with my dad randomly, which I'm never with my dad. Mike couldn't come. My dad was helping me. My dad's like 60 years old with a harp, you know, like he's helping me out. And this woman came to pick up, and she had an official Jets, you know, sweatshirt on. And I joked with her. I was like, "Oh, are these going to the Jets? Like, are these going to the New York Jets?" And she was like, "No, my husband's the director of football operations, though." And I was like, "Holy crap!" So I ended up getting a message from her later on. She's like, "My husband actually like is interested in connecting with you. Would you like give us your information?" And then the rest is history. We, you know, set things up.
they're
He got
super
us like a
nice.
bunch of merch, like really, really nice
They're
people.
super nice.
Yeah. So it's just those lucky things that happen from you just like connecting with people.
Yeah, being out there, putting
Yeah.
yourself out there.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So any other big collabs coming up?
We're in talks, but nothing I don't think we can formally say.
Yeah, the Jersey Freeze thing was kind of like
A little too early, but it's
maybe
fine.
a little early, but that's okay.
That's my bad.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's very exciting. We have another Talercios collab coming up in June. We were supposed to be going to Colorado for a special collab with this new bakery that's opening up. We got to see if we can actually make it out there, but that's going to be really fun too. So they come up as they come up, and they get bigger and bigger each time,
That's
and
awesome.
it blows my mind. But
Well, listen, I'm rooting for you guys.
Thank
I
you.
really am.
Appreciate it.
I'm hoping that like Instagram corrects itself and like I start seeing people's stuff. I actually started to unfollow a bunch of people that I just don't really engage with.
Yeah.
Not that I'm mad at them, but it's just like I'm not following their content right now in hopes of kind of seeing more stuff, more of the business owners, more of the people in my group. So I'll be rooting and watching.
Thank you.
Sounds
We
good.
appreciate it. Thanks for
Appreciate
having
it.
us.
Cheers.
This was
Thank
fun.
you so much,
Cheers.
guys.
We'll be back.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The next part.
Gotta come dig in that sand pit.
You guys are welcome anytime. Come by the pool, have some beers, the kids.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed the podcast and you want to learn more about it, check out the links below.